Hello everyone, and welcome to the VideoGameLads Podcast. We will all introduce ourselves in reverse alphabetical order.
Hello, I'm VertigoTeaparty.
I'm RavenVal95.
I'm Dragon.
And I'm Icebear, judges.
And now we will be starting off the podcast with a quick discussion of what we've been playing. So we're going to be doing it in regular alphabetical order. So Icebear, take it away.
So reverse alphabetical order, right?
That's correct. Reverse.
Okay, well, I don't have a particularly big list this week because I've not been, playing many games. So, the one that I probably invested most of my time into the last fortnight is Divinity Original Sin, which I imagine a lot of people have heard of. It's the top-selling game on Steam at the moment, or at least it has been for a long time.
I can check. I'm checking.
Well,
it's the top seller.
It is, yes.
Yep.
It's an RPG made by Larian Studios. I got a free copy of it back when it was in early access for a preview that I did. And I really enjoyed it then, and I'm really enjoying it now on the whole. It's a very open-ended, top-down, turn-based RPG with a lot of neat features. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how good it looks. It's very gorgeous.
Yes, and the only issue with that, which is one that I predicted during the early access thing, is that the majority of the world is constantly loaded in. Once you discover it, it's sort of still loaded in. It doesn't, the draw distance is just basically as far as you explore in the main world area. So the idea is that if you want your characters to walk to somewhere that's quite far away, and you don't really want to click and drag or keep clicking, you can just click on that spot on the map, and then they'll run over there, and you can do whatever the hell you want, really. Because it looks so good and there has so much loaded in at any given time, I get the idea to want to reduce the number of load screens, but it makes it so that the times when you do have a load screen, they take quite a long they take a long time. So to resume a game, just from the main menu. The main menu itself, by the way, takes a very long time to load. But yeah, no, you're talking quite a long amount of time from main menu to continuing your game. Frame rate drops aren't as much an issue as loading times, but it still happens occasionally. Mostly when loading in new areas and stuff.
Bit of a double-edged sword there, isn't it? You want a big world, so you have a big world, and then you have to have loading screens to load in the other side of your big world, and
you don't have loading screens for the world. There are no loading screens in the actual world. It's all persistent. The frame rate drops are a result of the fact that they're trying to reduce load screens, and the fact that the very few load screens that there are, if you go into a cave and then back, they take a long time because it's loading in the entire world on the other side.
Oh yeah, that's actually the worst, when they have you going into an area that needs a loading screen, back out that needs a loading screen, and then repeating that for a little while. It's just annoying.
Well, it mostly takes place on a sort of top surface of things, and there's occasional caves and tunnels that you explore. But I like the fact that it's not gone full dungeon crawler with its questing system, because it is quite easy to create just a single sort of instanced area that you go to once and do one quest there, and then you see another one and you do one quest there. But whereas with this, there's a lot of back and forth, and you spend a lot of your the first few hours of the game really you spend going back and forth just in the first town that you come to, which doesn't take very long. Because
I like games like that.
The main quest is a murder mystery, which is really cool, I thought.
That's interesting. I don't know many RPGs that have actually done murder mysteries aside from Paper Mario.
You don't even start out in a prison either.
That already puts it above most RPGs.
And the conversation options and the way you interact with the team that you build and the gear and leveling up is all pretty good. And it's mostly pretty solid. There are a couple of design issues that I'm not a massive fan of. The issue with turn-based combat forever and always is the RNG. I was talking to you guys, I was playing this a short while ago, and sure enough, I missed 86% chances in a row. And that's, that doesn't even surprise me that much, because it's got the classical random number generation thing of an 80% chance feeling like a 50% chance. Um,
Yeah. The
is
upside to
always
that though
frustrating.
is like even though it's not always a guarantee, the upside to that is when it says like 1% chance and you're at very little health and then you actually win and it's like, yeah, best feeling ever. But yeah, it is mostly to the gods
That's
of
never happened, to
RNG.
clarify.
Yeah.
I've missed 99% chances, but I don't think I've ever hit a 1% chance.
It can
1% is
happen.
like, it's humoring you. Like, sure, you try that and see what happens. Here's 1%, go see what happens. But yeah, that's I mean, that's a small issue. Nope. They did get rid of one thing which I didn't particularly like, which is that if you run across water, it used to make enemies like fall over, but now it doesn't, which is good because you would end up with like 6 enemies just all lying on the floor next to each other, and you're like, okay, the area of effect things are a bit too much here. So that was good, but
Yeah.
I did have other issues, but I can scarcely think of them now. So yeah.
What else have you been playing?
Yeah, let's move on.
Well,
I've been
before you
playing...
move that, real quick.
Oh.
So is that game more co-op? Because I got the impression that there was a really hard co-op push there.
It does work really well with co-op. It's drop in, drop out, which is obviously ideal. And you have it only has 2-player co-op, but there is a full player co-op mod because your like group can be of 4 people basically. And you each take control of one of the 2 main characters, and then when you get the 2 auxiliary characters, you each have one of those in your control as well. But when it was in early access, I did pretty much all of my gameplay with Bumpy McGump. So we co-opted that, and it was a lot of fun. Not least because we kind of played as bastards, so like there's this
Killing
quest
cats.
where you can like turn a blind eye to this guy stealing a fish because he's starving, and then the guards come along and you can vouch for him. But what we did was say, go ahead, take the fish. And then when the guards came, we said, catch that awful man, he just stole the fish. And the cool thing about that is that you can then see him in the dungeons below the keep, and he's like, I'll curse you to hell. And we just sort of laugh in his face. But no, yeah, the co-op is an exceptionally fun way to play that game. And if my schedule was kind of reliable, then I would probably play the main thing like that. But just for the sake of being, able to play it whenever I want, I'm mostly doing single player right now, and it's still very fun. But no, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And the co-op does work pretty well.
How did decisions work? Because I know there's like some sort of like argument thing you can sort of have, but like
yep, the 2 main characters can like argue out. So you tend to have 2 options for these sort of ethical dilemmas, and you can. I mean, if you're playing single player, you could have your characters disagree with each other just to see where that takes you, I suppose.
Yeah, I've heard about people doing that and losing to themselves.
They lost, really?
Yeah, like they were arguing they were like really getting into the role-playing thing of like, this guy's going to be a jerk, and then they ended up losing their own argument that they wanted to win, and they were like, why the hell did I do that to myself?
Oh, I see. So they didn't actually lose the game. I thought that would be a bit extreme.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, you can totally do that. And then there's like characters who like, there's one character who intervenes and is like, you guys argue too much. You should really learn to, sort of keep it under control if you're helping to overcome these difficulties and stuff like that. So no, yeah, there aren't many like conversation trees besides just getting information off people, but the ones that there are tend to affect the dynamic of the group and tend to be actually quite meaningful. So there's that.
That's good. You did a video on this a while ago, didn't you?
Yes, I did an early access preview. It was pretty much functional. It's just content that it was missing.
So would you say that's still a good video for people to check out now?
Yeah, most of the things in it are still relevant. I mean, taking into effect that back then it was early access and now it's complete and it does have a full quest line and stuff. My gameplay for that cut off when they updated it and it corrupted my save.
Yeah, I hear apparently that was happening a lot every time they did a major update.
Yeah. I didn't play
I
it
imagine there's a
between
lot
then
less of that
and,
now.
Yeah, between then and the full release, it was I hadn't played it at all. But yeah, now it seems fine. There have been updates, I think, but I don't think any of them have broken the save file. I imagine they would be careful not to do that.
Yeah.
From now on, because
It's more understandable when it's in development and when it's an actual
absolutely,
release product.
Yeah, and I can't vouch for the co-op now. There are a couple of issues in early access, but I thought, it's early access, this sort of thing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they were very minor. They're still more functional than like fully released games with third-party DRM like I don't know, Torchlight 2.
All right. Well, a link to that video will be in the description, so viewers
Thanks
or
very
listeners,
much.
rather, be sure to check that out. Now, what other games have you been playing? If that's all you want to discuss of Divinity.
Yeah, that's it for Divinity. Papers, Please was another one that I played, which is obviously a very popular game last year, but I only bought it, I don't know, several months ago, and now I took the time to play it. I finished, I got to an ending, and I enjoyed it.
Did you enjoy it, or did you just because I played a bit of it and I thought it was depressing as hell, but in a good sort of way. I don't know, it's difficult to explain. You know what I mean?
No, there are moments of humor in there as well. It kind of depends the route you go down, I guess, as to how depressing it is, but there are certainly some depressing elements.
Yeah. See, because a lot of the
yeah.
time I felt like I could barely pay rent or get enough medicine for my family. It was just, it was terrible.
Yeah, I was bad for like most of the early game, and then I don't know. I became some kind of hotshot bribe magnet.
Did you start
through.
accepting bribes?
I kind of got given bribes and then just didn't return them, and kind of just did my job properly anyway.
Wow,
Nice.
what an a-hole.
Hey, yeah, no, I don't have a counter to that.
Well, remind me if I ever need to smuggle into the country and he just happens to be the border agent, don't try to bribe him. In that very, very likely scenario.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that happening. We have a lot here in Britain that the entire North American continent lacks. But I thought it was a good game.
Yeah.
And I kind of like. At first, I was annoyed by like the tiny sort of UI until I realized that it's deliberate. It's meant to be a cramped office, and you haven't got much space to do everything.
Yeah, the gameplay is supposed to reinforce the idea that this isn't, a good way to exist or do your job. This is not, the most ideal of situations. This is bad and this isn't good, and just bad news all around.
No, yeah, it was a very interesting game to play, and I certainly enjoyed it. I can see why people sort of highlighted it as quite a unique and well put together entry last year.
Definitely.
I don't know. I don't have that much more to add to it unless anyone else wants to chip in.
Mad Dragon, VT, anything to add on Papers, Please?
I wanted to play it. I actually have it. It's one of those games I bought forever ago and I haven't played.
Yeah.
I played the demo or whatever it was before the full game was out, and I really liked it. So I'm really interested in going back and finishing it up.
It won't take you much time. I've apparently played 5 hours, and that gave me one of the endings. I could go back and play other things, but yeah. Oh, also I like the fact that it's not a roguelike, which it so easily could have been.
Right.
It could have been like you got to day 20, well done, share this score with your friends on Twitter or whatever, but no. You can actually revisit those days and try and improve, and then it's like a chapter and it's saved, and you can resume from that point, or you can go back to an earlier point. And in the year of the roguelike, it was good to see that this one did not go for that.
Thank God for that. Not being a roguelike, automatic check in its corner.
Yeah, it gets an entry stamp for that.
Instantly becomes a runner for Game of the Year.
That's a Papers, Please joke, because you get the entry stamp for that.
Oh, right.
country.
I
Anyway.
get it now. Thank you.
Sure. But no, the
Please,
human
girl,
drama in it
papers,
was...
please.
Yeah.
They should have called it. That's the sequel.
It's Papers,
Sure,
Please, but with a Z.
Mm-hmm.
We got a Z.
With a Z.
I think
The Z.
I think he knows what he means.
A Z is a word or a name. Z is actually a letter in the alphabet.
Right, let's, carry on. We've only got 45 minutes left.
What happens when you learn the alphabet from like Cookie Monster and such?
Hey, he taught me everything I needed to know that was important.
Cookies! I'd say that's a life lesson right there.
So now I'm only going to mention this briefly because I haven't finished it, but I have also been playing The Wolf Among Us. But I've only finished the first 2 episodes. So even though episode 5 is released recently and everybody's raving about it, I have absolutely nothing to contribute and can't really abide being confronted with any plot points from it. But you're free to discuss whether or not it was good in like single word sentences, preferably.
I heard it was absolutely terrible or amazing. I don't know.
So many words. Okay.
Actually, I haven't played it either. I'm waiting until they release the full game on disc, and then I'm going to be buying it.
On disc, okay.
Yeah,
Is that
PC.
cheaper in US?
No,
Australia, rather.
I just like having discs and DVD
Well,
cases.
that's also fine.
Caveman. You churn your own butter too? Is that this works?
Do
you
we
still
not do that
buy,
anymore? I thought that was the cool thing to do.
Are you sure you're not waiting for it to be released on magnetic tape?
Maybe you could watch a Let's Play of it on VHS.
I actually sort of did something like that. Me and my brother, we used to actually get a VHS recorder to record the TV, except we'd record our video games instead. So it's not really a Let's Play; it's more like one of those silent Let's Plays, I guess. Like back in the old days before people realized they could do voices. And yeah, so we used to actually do those back in my day, before the YouTubes. We did them for ourselves, and we were weird.
You're
we
a
didn't actually
pioneer
do
of
it.
the form.
You actually
Exactly.
created Let's Plays.
That's correct. Okay,
We should probably
so
put that on,
you
like, the
all
channel art
owe
or
me
something.
royalties.
Home of the creator of Let's Plays. We'd probably, rope a few people in. So yeah,
Yeah,
got that going for you.
The Wolf Among Us. We'll play it. You should play it for the channel.
Me, I could.
You should. Could do it next year.
Yeah, the amount of games that have been suggested, all terrific games, but it's going to take a little while.
It's going to take us years, but hey, we got time.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything the next few years, so.
Any other games or anything? Anyone else have anything to add on The Wolf Among Us?
Nope, it's pretty. I want to get it played this year though.
Oh, okay, so we're all a little behind on that one. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
In that case, let's move to Mad Dragon.
Mad Dragon, what have you been playing this week or these past 2 weeks?
Past 2 weeks, mainly Game Boy Advance games of a variety of different types, because I recently bought a Game Boy player for my GameCube, which I can't state enough how good it is. I mean, you could play Game Boy Advance games on an emulator on your PC, but I'm playing it on the GameCube with proper cartridges and stuff, and it's on the TV. It's really good.
Yeah, the quality actually looks pretty nice. I watched a bit of the Pokemon Emerald stuff you uploaded for VGL Without Lads, and it looks nice.
It does look pretty good, because it it doesn't change any of the resolution. I think it does a few little filters and tweaks. And it does have settings like normal, sharp, and soft as well. But I don't know if it's because of the resolution or the leads that I'm using to play it with, because I'm using the composite leads that come with the GameCube. So I can't really tell a difference between the different settings, but it does look good. The only problem with it is because I'm only using the composite leads. It's all interlaced video, so it's got a little bit of fuzziness to it. But it's really good. I've been playing a couple of Pokemon games, Golden Sun, Fire Emblem, stuff which I haven't played for years really. So I've recently bought those back.
What have you thought? What have you been like? What have you thought of those games?
They're good. They're good. I mean, it's like Golden Sun is. I was just playing that earlier today as well. I mean, I used to play that so much back on the original Game Boy Advance, and playing it now, it's like I'm trying to think about it, and it's like certain things about it I can't remember. So, playing them now is going to be good. Because I can re-experience them.
Yeah, playing an old game that you've sort of forgotten most of the stuff about is this very nice feeling in your brain, I find, because as you play through it, you're slowly remembering parts of it. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that bit. I remember playing this bit, and it's just this wave of nostalgia. It's awesome.
But I can remember the general gist of everything in it. But then it's all the finer details of getting from point A to point B. I know what happens at point A. I know what happens at point B, but I don't know what's going on in the middle.
Yeah.
Good. Other than that, like I said, I've been playing a mixture of Game Boy Advance games, nothing in particular.
On the subject of between point A and point B, I'm assuming Vertigo has some kind of made-up letter that goes in between those two. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't assume, but
As an American, I figure that our alphabet should actually be bigger and better, so we probably should add in a bunch of whole more letters that only we use.
Yeah.
Like the superior inches and feet system.
Oh my god.
It was good of you to invent those.
It was very good of us to do so. Just like when we invented the English language. Well, the proper form of it, anyway.
So, Mad Dragon, you've also played like Thief or Dishonored and stuff like that, I believe.
Yeah, I played a bit of Thief today. Not today. The past.
That's something that Icebear can also comment on.
The reboot one, yeah.
Oh boy. How you find it?
Well, I was playing it on PS4 and bought it like months ago. Started playing it, stopped playing it. Recently got back into playing it, and really do enjoy it. I mean, it's like I tried playing it, just the other day, and after not having played it for a couple of months, tried getting into it, got into like a combat situation, and really did not like it and hated it. But then, just the next day, then I, gave it another go, and got past that like little combat situation in the game, and got into the mindset of playing it all stealthily, sneaking around, stealing everything, and then really did start to enjoy it again.
Yeah. Like at the start of, because I Let's Play that one, and at the start of every chunk of Let's Play, I end up like getting caught 5 seconds in and killing 3 people or whatever, and then I sort of remember how to play it and whatnot. But I guess Vertigo's going to be able to weigh in on this too, but I mean, there's issues with the game, but I think that it ends up hinging a lot on the level design, which is why your experience of it might be so variable, is because some areas are actually done quite well, but others are just a pain in the ass and not very fun to play through. That's kind of been how I found it, because I've enjoyed some parts of that game, and then others I just wanted to get through, really haven't really been interested in what's happening. So it's been a mix.
Everyone quickly vote. Dishonored or Thief? Which is better?
Dishonored.
VT?
They're different.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick...
Like, I don't consider... Like, I know this is weird, but I don't consider Dishonored to be like a real stealth game, so I don't consider them to be same. In fact, I found Dishonored to be far more fun to go through and just murder everyone. That's way more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because I actually played through Dishonored twice. I played once as a stealth, no kill, and then once as a murder the hell out of everyone, aka what I like to call the no witnesses mode.
Yeah.
And the combat was just so much more fun, and the game seemed to be built around combat. Like half of your items you can't even use if you go like non-hostile.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to kill anyone, you can't use stuff like the razor wires and the a lot of the rats you can use, but other stuff you can't even use at all. But yeah, I think they're different games, so I think it's hard to, if you wanted to play Dishonored just as a stealth game versus Thief, I'd probably still lean towards Dishonored, but I don't like in Dishonored how if you get into combat, it's like, oh, I got into combat, I'll just murder everyone, no big deal. And which I didn't really get into combat in Thief because I did a completely, I think I did the entire game without knocking anybody out, and which was, by the way, quite made the game a lot longer.
Sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Pretty challenging, but yeah, like so I never had any experience with the combat.
Yeah, you've got an achievement for that on Steam, I think, and it's like got like 0.85% of all people have it. So congratulations.
Yeah. What's funny is I actually think I did knock somebody out during the tutorial section, but I think they didn't count it against me.
Oh, that's good.
Like the very
Don't they
first
tell
stage.
you to knock them out, though?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
that's probably why. But I thought I knocked somebody else out like right after that too, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that achievement. I got mad because in Dishonored I tried to get the same one and I didn't get it because I think on some stage, I think what happened was on one of those stages with the rotating balcony things, when you first load the stage, it doesn't exist. The platform doesn't exist, and I'd put a body up there, an unconscious body. So when it spawned, it fell and hit the floor and killed them, I think.
Yeah, that's I can imagine that happening.
This is why I don't go after those achievements. Is precisely because, even if you do your utmost not to kill anyone, you can still, like in a video game, you can accidentally kill someone, no problem.
Yeah. The only times I go after them is when it has a stat screen telling you if you've ever killed someone, or if it like announces it to you, like plus a million points, you killed some dude. Like, then I can sort of, see it.
Well, sure,
go
if
through
you knew
that.
where you were going wrong, then you can quickly or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mad Dragon?
I guess
anything else?
In Thief, it does have a screen saying how many people you killed and knocked out. At the end of the level, though. But I guess if you wanted to get that achievement, you could go through the levels individually. I don't know how that would work, because there is an open world element to it as well. Who knows?
Which I think is probably one of the worst elements of that game, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, am I the only one who hated that, the way they did it?
I hated moving around to places through the open world section. It was such a gigantic pain in the ass. Especially because areas that had been, like, quite difficult to get around, you would have to get around them again, and,
yes.
Yeah, it's...
those hidden load-in zones that weren't very hidden at all.
Oh, like there's a beam you have to move out of your way. That'll take you at least the next 30 to 60 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, it was... I like the idea of having an open area and then you move to the mission or whatever, but this way the city was designed...
and the fact that you couldn't, like, rob a building without going through these, like, load screen windows as well.
Yeah.
Awful. One time I was in a building and I realized that I'd noticed something in the corner of my eye that I hadn't stolen. But I was at the bit where you have to press X to, do the QuickTime event, basically well, not technically QuickTime event, but button bash to open the window. And I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do this. And then I found out that there is no way to cancel that once you started it. So I just left it in there because I could not be asked to go through that whole thing again just to go back in and get one piece of loot that was probably like an imp part or something. So, yeah, I hate the fact that it's that they try and create an open world and yet every individual building that you can rob is hidden behind a load screen.
Yeah, I imagine on, like, maybe next-gen technology, it'll be a bit better if they try that again, because without loading screens, I can imagine it'd be a bit better.
Well, the thing is, I'm sure that the PC port could probably cope with, like, that amount of open-endedness. It didn't seem like it would be impossible for them to have that, but I guess for, like...
The console. I imagine, like, the actual, like, way that they have, like, data streamed is designed around the PS3 and 360 since it's on there.
Yeah.
I think it's, any, like, any parts of the game where it's, like, held back technically would probably be because of the PS3 and 360, because from what I've heard, they don't run very well at all.
Yeah.
We're talking, like, sub 30 FPS and stuff. Quite a lot, because I mean I played the PS4 version and that was, I don't know if it was locked at 30 FPS, but it wasn't like an uncapped frame rate or anything. So I don't know if that's just because they couldn't get the game running that well on the system or not, or whether that's what they chose to do. I'm not sure.
Another thing I found slightly dumb about Thief is, the wrench and the screwdriver and all those tools.
They're optional.
Yeah, they're optional, but if you want to stealth around a level, they're essential, and it's never really pointed out to you that they are basically essential. And it seems like if you were a Master Thief, you would have those already anyway. Like, you would have something, surely. But no, you have to buy those, and you should get them immediately anyway, so it's kind of pointless.
He seems really unequipped at the start, because if he didn't have that claw thing that Aaron had, like, he'd be screwed in, like, 99...
Like, oh, what's this piece of trash? You certainly don't need this. I think I'll use this for the rest of the game.
It really seemed like in the opening section, it was more just, he was sort of angry that, hey, she thought of something really cool. I want that. Give me that. Hey, you didn't need it anyway. And then just, yeah. But, yeah, so he seems really under-equipped because he doesn't have anything to open those drain pipes or whatever they are, and just the screwdrivers and wrenches and crap. Yeah, so he's not that much of a Master Thief.
Not really.
Just think of it like the Metroid effect, You lose all your equipment at the beginning of the game and stuff.
Yeah. Anything else, Mad Dragon?
What was that? Game Boy games, Thief, yeah. Not really sure. I can't think of anything else I've been playing. But on the topic of Thief, the only overall I really did like it. The only thing that I haven't enjoyed that much about it is the combat parts of it, because it felt like if I got discovered, if I messed up and got into a situation that I couldn't escape from, that would be pretty much it. I might as well just reload the game. That's the only.
To be fair,
thing.
Yeah, I think that's intended.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that's the best. That's what I like. I'm not even going to get into my stealth game rant, but to me, that's what a stealth game means. Is that pretty much if you get caught, you either have to run and hide, or you reload if it's like that bad. Like if it's like one guard, like maybe, but if it's like two guards or more, it should be, oh god, I'm gonna die. Like the combat should be there as an absolute last ditch effort, which was why I, at the beginning when they were showing stuff, they're like, you get bonus experience for headshots with the bow. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, I agree. I could definitely see how that could be frustrating, but I think for a stealth game, it should be that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would probably like it if there was not so much, more focus on the combat. Because like you said, it is, it's supposed to be about the stealth aspect of it. But if there was like maybe a way that I could sort of get out of the situation,
Right, like smoke bombs. They had flash grenades, but yeah, I think there should be...
Oh, they had stun arrows or something, and they were basically worse than useless.
Oh, really?
They bought you maybe like half a second of time if you shot it in a guard's face, and yeah, it was pretty much useless. Like I thought, the first time I used it, I thought, does this knock a guard out? It seems a bit of a power to have a dart that would knock them out, from a distance. Fair enough, but like for what it did, I still ended up getting my ass handed to me. Because it was quite a tight area, and I don't think I could escape in that time. At least that's my memory of it. But yeah, they're pretty useless. In general, the stealth arsenal is not great.
Yeah, well, I mean, Thief, the new one also runs into the same issue that a lot of the things they give you are useless if you don't want to kill anyone or even knock somebody out. Which I do think that not knocking anybody out is extreme, so I'm not worried about
The thing that it got me about the Ghost playthrough is that you're not even allowed to blow out candles, or at least that's just what I heard from you. Which seems like Patrick Swayze in the film Ghost, I believe, was capable of such things. So going off that definition.
Obviously, the Patrick Swayze movie Ghost is the definitive guide to what ghosts are, their ecology, their biologies, their reproduction cycles.
That was essentially my understanding, yes. We should probably cite that as an academic work in the description of this.
He basically, Swayze pretty much wrote the book on ghosts. And I wrote the book, I mean, starred in a movie that somebody else wrote about ghosts,
Exactly that.
or well, a particular ghost.
Mm.
Yep. Rest in peace.
On a completely unrelated note, it sure is nice of Whoopi Goldberg to endorse the channel.
Thank you again, Whoopi.
Yeah.
It means a lot to us.
Yeah.
I don't get that joke, but okay.
He was also in Ghost, so it's...
All right.
I didn't even see the movie, and I knew that. And I will never see the movie if I can help it.
I'm gonna watch that movie one day.
Well, you know, if you want to know anything about video games, then you should probably
Go
get
on,
around to it.
Ghost. Yeah. It'll be useful for my Ghost run of Splinter Cell Blacklist.
Can I imagine that as like a training montage for doing a Ghost playthrough of a game? Just watching Ghost.
How the hell is helping someone make pottery gonna help me in Splinter Cell?
Because it's both sensual, like it's two beings close together, with that very slight little hint at, yeah, you know what they're doing. Yeah.
So that's what
Grabbing
I've got to
that-
do to
making
the
those
enemies in Splinter Cell Blacklist.
long-
Get really up and close to them, help them make some
Yeah.
pottery. Yeah. Gently
grab their
caress their
arms.
hands.
Oh, you're so tense. Let me help you put that gun down.
Yeah, exactly. Human shields. That's good practice for that.
I'll show you why they call me Fisher. I have no idea what the reference to. There's probably a reference
There's a
somewhere
loose,
that
there's a loose way you could squeeze that in there. I think.
that's what she said.
Yeah, of course.
So, Mad Dragon. Anything else you've been playing? Is that
Damn
it?
Mad Dragon, look what you've done.
No, what have I started?
What have you done? What have you done?
Other than that, the only other things that I can think that would be worth mentioning would be a little bit of Dark Souls 2, which
Dark
had a
Souls
little bit
2, nice.
Yeah, that'd be worth talking about. Dark Souls. We should do that on a podcast
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah, we haven't done that
Yeah.
before, have we?
No, I don't think we've actually mentioned the Souls games before on this podcast. I think this is like the first time.
Ever, possibly.
So I think some background information on the Souls games is required here because they're very unknown games. They're very Japanese. Lots of very kawaii. I think that's their main defining trait is how kawaii they are. I think everyone here would
They're
agree.
very kawaii. Somebody needs to get on that, make like a kawaii mod for Dark Souls 2.
Now, Mad Dragon, go ahead.
Yeah. So I played a little bit of it. Got to a pretty frustrating, horrible place in the game. Got to the Rotten boss, which, really did not enjoy that. Haven't defeated him yet. But also, because I was Let's Playing the game, I almost quit Let's Playing it because I just wasn't feeling like I was having any fun with it.
Dark Souls 2 is so hard, it almost made you quit Let's Playing.
Yeah. It's just the fact that, trying to Let's Play it,
Oh, God.
while maintaining sort of like a positive mood with it.
Yeah.
Which I haven't really had that much of a problem with the other ones, because I did Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls perfectly fine, like. But I think the only difference is because those previous two games I had already played like over half the game before deciding to do a Let's Play of it. But Dark Souls 2, is I'm doing it completely fresh, as I go through the game. So, but I did decide to carry on with it, and glad I did because I was, back to having fun with it now.
That's good.
Other than that, I've been playing Disgaea 3 on Vita as well, which is very addicting, very fun. It's like a strategy JRPG.
The Disgaea games are something I've always been meaning to try and get into, but just never have. I tried playing the first one and just didn't click with me.
Well, if you can get into them, there is so much content in them.
Yeah,
I think the maximum level cap would be 9,999. That's
Yeah,
per character.
my friend from school, like, for about, 7 or 8 months in a row, just at lunch, every time, he'd always be playing Disgaea. Because he'd always, getting so much new content, he'd always be telling me about there's a lot of stuff in there, and so,
It's
yeah,
just
I know.
crazy, Because, I mean, you level up your characters, and then you can, reincarnate them, so they're back down to level 1, but they carry over their skills and stats, certain skills and stats. and you level them back up, you can change. I think you can like reincarnate them into a different class, so then they got cross-class skills and stuff. You can also go into like every single item in the game, whether it's a healing item, whether it's a weapon or piece of armor. You can actually go into the item world, which is like, you go into the, like a little level of that item and progress through it. And I think that then, you can sort of like level the item up a little bit, I think. There's a lot of stuff, some of it which I haven't even got to yet.
Yeah.
You could spend hours on it. Hours.
Hundreds of hours.
Oh, yes. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Like I said, mostly just jumping from game to
game. Yeah.
Game by player, testing it out.
Mad Dragon's living game by game.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, that takes it over to me, and I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. I played that for 27 minutes and I beat it. Go me.
Which game?
Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes.
You just did the first mission, the main mission.
I did the main ops, yeah. I played from the start to the credits, and I did it in 27 minutes.
You haven't done the actual full
speedrun
game, with all the
That's not
missions.
A speed run. Some people have actually managed to do it in like 5 minutes, according to people at Konami.
The entire game, basically, is what you're saying.
No, it's a very short
read the
game.
Cliff Notes version. Okay.
You could just complete it in a couple of minutes just by running to the objective.
Yeah, because there's really not that much to do. So the entire game has you run from the start, go to Chico, pick up Chico, drop him off of the helicopter, then go to Paz, and then take Paz to the helicopter, and then that's it. Game over. Done.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to do it that way. It's supposed to be done like stealthily.
How is that not? Well, I did it stealthily. I didn't get alerted once. I got an A ranking. Go me. Pew pew.
Didn't play how it was meant to be played.
Nope, sure didn't.
Just played it well enough to get an A ranking. That's all. Aside from the demo of Metal Gear Solid 5, I've also been playing Batman Arkham Origins, and I finally actually got around to finishing Batman Arkham Origins. So I've got a list of positives and negatives for the game, so I think I'll just quickly read those out. So starting off with the positives, Troy Baker actually does a really good job as the Joker. He's not just, Mark Hamill. He's not Mark Hamill, but he does his own little thing, and it's nice. The physics effects are way more optimized in Arkham Origins than they were in Arkham City, which is nice because they're actually rather pretty. There's lots of snow effects going on, and it's very nice. It no longer has a settings launcher, and so normally when you started Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, it'd come up with a launcher and you'd have to change your options there and then click play. That was always really annoying if you wanted to play with like a controller or something, but that's not there anymore, so that's good. It doesn't use Games Windows Live from the get-go. It doesn't use Games Windows Live. It's the first Arkham game to do that, which is nice. So Steamworks all aboard. Choo choo. Also, if you have the PS3 version, it allows you to play as the Adam West Batman skin. Yeah. Okay. List of
it's cool that's there.
Yeah, but it's only on the PS3 version, so whatever. List of negatives. Challenge mode has reused modifiers from Arkham City. Doesn't add anything to the challenge mode. Gadgets are either uninspired, like the remote claw, or reskins of the gadgets you get in Arkham City, like the glue grenade, which is just the freeze blast, or the shock gloves, which are taken from the Wii U version of Arkham City. It creates plot points and then makes that plot point irrelevant 90 minutes later. I would go into more detail, but then there'd be spoilers. There are extremely simple boss fights that are as difficult as taking down a Titan in Arkham Asylum. It reuses animations from Arkham City, reuses cheat codes from Arkham City, reuses boss fight patterns from Arkham City, reuses parts of the overworld from Arkham City. Pointless upgrade tree just forces players to use a playstyle they have no interest in to get the upgrade they want. There's no way to get the Bat Swarm attack without upgrading health, which I hate. The majority of the user interface is identical to Arkham City. The shock gloves make combat far too easy. It's a very difficult time to differentiate between heavily armored enemies that need to be beaten down, like, use your capes on and then beat them down, versus enemies that can be attacked regularly. So that's really annoying. All variations of the enemies are in Arkham City, or at least like the majority of them are. The voice chatter, like from random thugs, is really glitchy. Enemies will be unconscious, and then they'll still be on their phone talking to people. So you'll pull someone off of a ledge, and then they'll go like, "Yeah, I'm on my way there. Don't worry about it." Even though Detective Vision says like, "Enemy's unconscious." They reused the time container side mission from Arkham City. The continuity is very confusing. Batman has his cryptographic sequencer from Arkham City, which is more advanced than what he had in Asylum. Batman has his grapnel boost from Arkham City, which is more advanced than what he had in Asylum. Batman has his upgrades that he had to unlock in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City from the get-go. And Batman has an incredibly powerful XE suit, which gives him more health and allows him to use thermal gloves at no cost to mobility, yet he never uses it. Game has nothing to do with the origins of Arkham at all. The story focused on Batman and Joker and how they are the two sides of the same coin, but that was already covered in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, so that's just dumb. And the story is just dumb. There are 2 prison outbreaks in the same night. They're really pushing the whole longest night thing very far. It also has a lot of pseudo gameplay where you walk slow while people talk endlessly to you and you can't actually die, but they just sort of make it seem like you can. Mr. Freeze in this game looks way older than he did in Arkham City. Roger Craig Smith voices Batman and he uses his Chris Redfield voice for the majority of the game. Lip syncing is done very poorly. Detective mode is called Detective Vision, which is really weird because in 3 of the 4 Arkham games, it's called Detective Mode, so why is it called Detective Vision here? Bruce Wayne has a Detective Vision mode in the challenge map DLC called Concentration, but not at any other times, even in the other DLC that released later on. The fire effect used in Arkham Origins is actually really terrible and only has about like 3 frames of animation. Just very terrible. And there's a very distinct lack of grapple points around the city. Also, there's an online multiplayer mode, and that's just dumb.
So 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
You
it's
quite
okay.
liked it?
Yeah, it's alright.
Good. Yeah.
Also, I've been playing The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, which is actually really fucking awesome, and I finished it. It's the second Zelda game I've ever finished, and it's fucking great. Much better than Arkham Origins. You should all buy it if you have a 3DS.
7.5 out of 10.
Pretty much.
Awesome.
So, Vertigo, were you going to say something on Batman Arkham Origins, or...?
I've been wanting to play it just to play it because I love the first 2 Batman games. But at the other hand, I don't want to give them money, given how they were just like, yeah, we know there's game-breaking bugs, but we're not going to fix them. Yeah,
the bugs are really annoying. Batman does this... I didn't bring this up, but Batman does this weird,
I thought you were a bit sparse on your
Yeah, I feel like you left a lot open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually intentionally left things off there because I thought it was getting a bit too long. But Batman...
At what point did you think it was getting a bit too long?
Probably after like 7 or 8, then I kept going.
Okay.
But yeah, like, so when you're gliding around in the city, Batman normally has his cape open and it's like all majestic and shit. But then randomly, he'll just decide to like flop about like he's a fish or something, just randomly flopping. And it's the weirdest thing. And I don't understand it. It's really weird. And also during the cutscenes, like the pre-rendered cutscenes, they'll be slow down and speed up. And that happens on PS3 and PC. So it's not just, the machine. Or if it is, then it's both machines, which is unlikely.
Yeah.
Well then, I think I'll go buy me some Arkham Origins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great game. Game of the year.
We'll link the store page to that in the description.
Yeah, no. So Vertigo, what have you been playing?
I did finish Dark Souls 2. We talked about it already.
You
but...
Finished it?
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
You did say you would hope to have finished it before the next podcast,
yes.
and you actually did. None of us expected that, except maybe you.
It did take about 80 hours total.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, I actually play through the games there, Raven Valor. I don't just rush to the end like some people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Names, but I'm specifically
You literally just mentioned my name.
Right, I did it twice. I wanted to underline.
Oh, okay.
Not to mention
Without-
any names except
without
Raven
actually
Valor's
saying
name,
your name.
because it's him.
Without actually saying your name, right. I'm not technically saying your name. I'm saying your moniker.
Uh-huh.
Or
Well,
handle,
maybe?
yeah.
Perhaps your handle. Ooh, let's go by handles. I like that. It's like
Yeah,
that makes it
that's
sound
what
like
I was going for.
Will
Like
you stop
truckers.
touching my
E-truckers.
handle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're e-truckers.
That's
The next
basically what I
reality
went
show,
for.
e-truckers.
Deadliest roads.
Deadliest electronic roads. But yeah, I really liked it. I couldn't pick one over the other. Dark Souls 1 over Dark Souls 2. I think Dark Souls 2 is really good. I think it has a lot of problems, but like the bosses are very weak. I felt like the durability system is god awful, but overall, I still very much enjoyed it. So yeah, damn good game. I've been playing a lot of Watch Dogs recently. Not as much as it looks like on Steam, because if you leave the Ubisoft launcher open, Steam still thinks you're playing Watch Dogs. So I'm not actually been playing Watch Dogs for like 48
You
hours.
haven't played it for 73 hours in total?
Yeah.
What? You liar.
How much would have bet Ubisoft goes back and goes, look how many hours people are playing.
Yeah,
Or
so
Watch
much value
Dogs.
for money. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But overall, I'm really liking it. I don't get the hate for that game. I think too many people went in actually believing the hype, which who still does that. I think it's a really good game. It's not revolutionary. It's not going to change the genre or anything like that. But it's a lot of fun. I like the variety of side missions. Hacking is a lot of fun, both before you actually infiltrate an area and once a firefight breaks out. It's fun to use the hacks like really fast, and like there's a lot of dynamic events that can happen.
Yeah.
So like for example, like you can hack a person who has a grenade on them and they start freaking out trying to throw it away. And sometimes they throw it away, sometimes they don't. So what you can do is, like, if you're in a firefight and everybody's ducked behind cover, you hack to a camera and then you can see the guy with the grenade, so you hack him and he's standing next to his buddy and he's like, oh god, this grenade, and you stand up and start shooting him so he drops the grenade or whatever and then blows both guys up. It's just a lot of really fun dynamic things that can happen in that game. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. The story's pretty interesting so far. Graphically, it looks good. It doesn't look as good as they were saying it was going to, but
Yeah.
it still looks good. I played a little bit of Hearthstone. Oh, unless somebody wants to talk about Watch Dogs.
Well, we
I
kinda
only
covered
have.
it in an earlier podcast.
Oh, okay.
To a degree, but
Did we?
I mean,
Okay.
if anybody wants to,
I just want to say that I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous podcast,
I
but
just
just in
want to
case.
say that I have this list of 20 points of watch dogs that I wanted to read.
Oh, come on. Just
20
Arkham
points of Watch
Origins.
Dogs.
Ugh, I'm such a fan of the Arkham games. I can't help
It's
it.
okay. You get that one. If I had
Thank
to
you.
talk about Blackguards, I would have done the same.
Yeah, Watch Dogs. I think there are only like 2 good songs on the radio, and I think the radio is really underwhelming.
Well, I've got my music off all the time to avoid content ID, so I don't even know what the radio sounds like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, most of it is just. I'm sure like hipsters enjoy it, but I don't.
Yeah, it's the very few seconds that I've ever had it on. I've always thought, "Oh, this is god awful."
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
like even
have
if you
beat it
did
yet,
it,
or-
even if you weren't recording it, you'd be like, "No, I'm turning this shit off."
have you beat it yet?
Me, yeah.
Okay. So how long did it take you? About 5 hours?
I can check. I've got the Google Doc open. It took me. I beat it on June 14th, and it took me 16 hours and 45 minutes.
I like to throw out the fact that he actually has a Google Doc listing the games, not only that he beat, but how long it took him to beat them. Just throwing it out there.
What's wrong with that?
No, it's fine. I'm just saying, just stating the fact. Just like, no big deal.
I'll
throw
put
it
the
out there.
link to the games that
If
I
you get
finished in
offended by that.
2014 in
That's all
the
on you.
in the description.
Why it's so
What?
defensive, Raven?
Oh,
this all
sorry, I
about?
missed what you said. What?
We're just playing.
Yeah, we're just stating things, man. If you just get all upset about it, and maybe something
I
you wanna
missed what
talk
you
about?
said the first time though.
Maybe
Could you repeat
don't
that?
take your grievances and just put them on a list.
Here's the problems I have with you guys on the podcast.
I
There's
think we'll
20
have to
things
wait
I hate
until
about
like
them.
any other issues on the thing, or at
I-
least
I wouldn't.
projects you're working on, or people or want people to know about. We'll put it under that on the
Yeah.
agenda.
I wouldn't do that because
Nice
you guys aren't an
agenda,
Arkham
by the way.
game.
So yeah, Watch Dogs, good game. I started playing Hearthstone a little bit. I've played like maybe 3 to 4 hours. mostly playing the offline mode. I did a few online matches just to kind of mess around with it, but it's been pretty fun so far. I don't like deck building at all. I could see how people could get into that, but I don't. I'd rather just get a deck that works and go. But yeah, it's fun to play. Last thing, or anybody else? Anything? Hearthstone?
I don't
Never
play
played it. Online, like trading card games or card games in general, just aren't for me anymore. Yu-Gi-Oh was great, but then the meta game of Yu-Gi-Oh constantly changed, and then I'd compete in tournaments and it'd be like, hey, half your deck's banned. It's like, oh, okay, then never mind.
Last game I wanted to talk about was Gods Will Be Watching. I did a let's try of that.
Oh yeah, sure.
I kind of want to talk about it because I feel like that one's going to be one of the indie games that people are just going to love by default. I did not think it was well executed. I like the idea. I like the idea of like the dark point and click adventure where your choices make big differences. You have to make these hard moral choices, but sometimes you have to like sacrifice just for survival, things like that. But I feel like it wasn't executed well because instead of like in Walking Dead, for example, you make a hard choice and you just have to live with that choice. In this game, it's like, well, you make some hard choices, but oh, well, you still lose. So you have to start all over again. And it's very trial and error. You have to figure out like what works and what doesn't.
Oh,
like,
so
what
there's
does this do?
there's a correct way of doing things, is there? But some of them involve hard choices. Is that the idea?
I think there's multiple correct ways to do things, but there's more ways to do things that cause you to just lose.
Okay.
So you end up replaying the stage over and over and over and over again, finding out what does what and whatnot. And the repetition for me takes away any weight that the decisions carry.
Yeah.
Because I'm just pushing buttons to get through this part because I know the sequence, and I'm just trying to get to the next part where I messed up before, or make whatever adjustment I need to make.
That sounds That sounds like point and click adventure version of Kaizo Mario, where it just tries to kill you, and then you just have to try and beat the game through memorization.
I can't think of any other point and click games that have like this is a fail state. You need to go way back to a checkpoint. Like in The Walking Dead, if you got if you done got ate by one of them zombies, you just basically went back to the quick time event or whatever that you failed. It might have been like the start of the fight or something, but having to go back and go through the same conversation options as part of a test is not great. Because it says it's got puzzles in it as well. And you'd have thought that the decision thing would be a way of driving the plot, and the puzzles would be more of the trial and error sort of gameplay element. Yeah, no, that's disappointing that it would have that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think if you're okay with trial and error and you're okay with doing the same things over and over again, it can be worth it because the story seems interesting and I like the atmosphere, and like I say, I like the kind of grim feeling, and I'm interested in finding out what's going on with the story. But the tedium kind of kills it for me, and like I said, it takes away. Like the first time you do some things, it's like, wow, this is pretty grim, or oh, this is pretty awful. But like the fifth, sixth, seventh time through, it's like, okay, just get through it to the next part so I can do this again.
You're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
We're over an hour in, by the way, guys.
Of course.
Well, yes, of course.
Any other games you played, VT?
Nope, that's the last one I want to talk about.
Then on to the news.
All right. Well, on to the discussions of things. Freedom Walls is getting a physical release in Europe after fan response basically being, what the fuck, mate? Why aren't we getting a physical release? I'm sure Madragon will be excited by that.
I'm so happy for this because it's already been out for a few months, I think, in Japan. It was already confirmed for the US for a physical release, and with Vita games, all games get, if they get a physical release, it also gets a digital release, so everything gets released digitally. But recently in
Europe,
a few games, specifically Europe as well, some games have only been getting digital releases. Like a big one which came out a few months ago in US and in US it was actually retail. It was in Europe, only in Europe, was Drakengard 3 on PlayStation 3. That only got a digital release, and that has put me off buying the game quite a bit, because otherwise I would have bought it day one, because I really do enjoy that series. But then it's like there's a few other sort of like more niche, like JRPG games or Japanese style games for the Vita that have only come out digitally. But this is Freedom Wars. It is, being seen as like one of the big exclusives for the Vita this year. And, Sony Europe have just come out and said, oh, it's only getting a digital release. And basically all the fans, everybody is in an uproar for it, because, I mean, digital, can be good, but, especially for consoles and handhelds, people want, the physical copy of a game, to own.
Yeah, I can understand that for consoles, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, PC, it's not so much. PC, I got, like, over 400 games on Steam, and I don't care about physical when it comes to PC, because they're so much cheaper.
Yeah.
But with a handheld or with a console, it's it's a big thing to have a physical copy of it, because then you can get rid of it if you wanted to. You could sell it on. You could
share it.
Or share it. Or
share it.
Sharing works for these things.
And it's like it's part of your collection. Then it's 'cause some people do, myself included, buy physical copies for the collection aspect of it as well. So it's to have like a digital only release, and it would the price then would be locked at wherever it's set at the PlayStation Store, which usually isn't very good compared to the retail.
Yeah, I always hated the PSN store. Like, it's so outrageously overpriced.
Yeah. Compared
it's
to
like,
the
this 7-year-old game, $120. Fork it up, mate.
And it's like sales then, you do get sales on PSN and stuff like that, but it's like only once every couple of weeks, every couple of months. There's not like really good sales compared to stuff like Steam. So
yeah, and
less of
the times when they do have like very deep discounts, it's generally on like PS1 classics or something like that. Because I've seen like Tomb Raider, like all the PS1 Tomb Raiders go on for like 80% off on PSN.
I mean, you can get good deals on there. Like I remember a couple of months ago, I got Crisis 3 for like £4 or something, which is pretty good.
That is pretty good.
But then again, there's some games that just haven't even dropped in price. Though, like I think I can't remember the exact game, but I think there's like a PSP digital game which I've been wanting to get for quite a while, but it's still like 30 quid or something.
I think The Last of Us is still full priced. So yeah, there's a lot of full price games, and yeah, sales aren't as good as Steam's. Oh well.
Yeah. That's the thing, with these next gen consoles, they go in for, trying to push like digital and stuff, with buying games, and pre-ordering the games and pre-downloading the games before they're released. But it's like, unless they can compete with the prices that Steam has, I don't see how they people are gonna focus more towards that. They're gonna stay buying retail and stuff.
Yeah. The Yogventures game has gotten cancelled. The developer has been dissolved and soon to file for bankruptcy. Yogscast spent $150,000 of the Kickstarter money on fulfilling physical rewards for Kickstarter backers, packing and shipping the rewards, covering marketing expenses, including the booth at E3 2012. Now, the reason I emphasize those things is because they were fucking marketing a game that isn't even finished and will never be finished. What the fuck?
Yep, and it's also, apparently, after fees and also pledges that weren't fulfilled, they reached $430,000 of the $250,000 goal. So they far exceeded it. What is pretty evident from looking at basically anything about this is the fact that it was poorly managed from the start, and
Definitely.
Wintercool themselves, well, the guy behind Wintercool basically admits that his lack of experience has ended up costing the entire project, and it's so clear in things like, for example, as soon as the Kickstarter had ended, they drew up a budget that used up all of the funds. So if there was, any kind of issue, then, they're up shit creek because they haven't budgeted for it. And sure enough, they paid all of the artists like tens of thousands of dollars up front without a contract, or at least without a particularly binding contract. And one of them ended up getting a job with LucasArts or something like that.
Yeah. So it was like $32,000,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
did
and
2 weeks worth of work.
They lost $30,000 that they were not going to get back. And you know, had people known about that, I imagine that would have been, quite a big warning sign to start asking for refunds while they still hadn't blown all the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty exasperating to look at. And to be fair to them, they have actually disclosed a fair amount of what happened to the money. And it's relatively rare for someone to say, "Oh, it was a complete lack of competence." Let's face it, if this was EA, this is just a classic example of over innovation. But yeah, it's pretty
Wintercool has been very transparent with it, and although it's been very depressing reading his side of the story about how much he put into the game and how it was affecting his personal life. Like, he lost his wife because of Yogventures, and that's just depressing.
Mm-hmm.
He nearly lost his second job that he actually uses to pay his bills and stuff, and that's also terrible because it's for Yogventures, and he put like 25 grand of his own money into Yogventures,
which is a budgeting thing. But yeah,
terrible.
Yep, it's just a huge tragedy.
Yeah.
Well, I say tragedy, like the game itself is no loss, but
oh yeah, if the game never came out,
it's
then
a sad
whatever.
Story of bright-eyed enthusiasm mingled with horrible lack of foresight.
Yeah, it seems like everything would have been much better had this Kickstarter never happened in the first place. Like, everything would be better.
Is that it's that there's apparently no money left. I mean, people have been compensated with keys for Tug.
Never heard of it.
Neither had I until this, and
I think it's supposed to be a somewhat similar game. I think.
Yeah, it's somewhat similar, and like Yogscast themselves straight up said it's better than Yogventures anyway. So, yeah, to be honest, like as except for the backers that must have spent crazy amounts of money on it, I guess it's not a colossal loss for them. Not even a particular loss for the Yogscast, really.
Well, I imagine it's somewhat damaged their image. Somewhat.
I would think so. But to be honest, they've been quite quick to shift the blame onto Wintercool.
Yeah.
And
they've been definitely trying to be like us. What? No, it was them. He did it. They failed, not us.
From Wintercool as well. I think in one of the things they mentioned that they were shackled or something like that, or they felt shackled and they were stuck with Wintercool. Apparently, they claim they tried to hire a programmer to work with the other guy, but he turned it down, or he vetoed the decision or something. It's alleged.
That's interesting, because I remember reading that Wintercool was waiting for Yogscast to get a new lead programmer, and they never did anything about it.
One of the choices that they had vetoed or something like that. Yeah, so it's basically like I don't know. I guess that's a he said, they said kind of thing. You may never know. But yeah, I thought it was worth highlighting because it's an example of the fragility of a Kickstarter project, especially in the hands of someone who quite clearly doesn't know how to budget, which is, overwhelmingly the case here.
But just real quick, let's bring up a positive kickstarted game, like Divinity Original Sin.
Divinity Original Sin was actually also funded by Kickstarter and then went on early access. They, I mean, that's the studio, but the way they went about it and the way they, they gave an early access key of a game that they priced at £30 to me, which is pretty generous. But yeah, no, they've been pretty good with like media coverage and updates. And well, let's face it, they just had more of a plan going into it.
Yeah. And they're a studio that has done this sort of stuff before, and so
yeah, exactly
you got to
that.
note that sort of stuff with Kickstarter.
Yeah, and I think that could be a sort of quite a key thing to look at if you're looking at a Kickstarter, is have these people developed games before, on a pretty serious scale? Do they have some experience? It doesn't have to be like a studio that's produced something, but like, are the people working here, do they have any experience in the field? I know that's got to be tough on the guys with the new projects and stuff, but like, if your first project is going to cost $250,000, and you end up getting $430,000 and you still can't, realize it, then you probably should have started smaller as one of your like first projects.
Yeah, like it's amazing to see so many game companies. We're the small company who's never done any major games, but the 5 of us are gonna make an MMO.
Yeah.
That, with the landmass of all of North America.
And they've just got some pieces of concept art and that's it.
Right. It's like, you can't possibly be serious. Like, you have no idea what you're doing.
No, we're totally serious. We even bought an engine license for Unity.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, the whole thing, I don't really know Yogg's cast. I've heard of them. I've never watched any of their stuff at all, ever. But I gotta say, like, if you're gonna put your name on something, you should keep a pretty decent eye on it, because things like this could happen.
Yeah.
And like you said, we'll never know probably who really is to blame. There's probably a little bit of blame on both sides. But
well, there's definitely at least some blame on the part of Wintercool, which they had much they have as much admitted. Right. But the extent of the Yogscast involvement in the sort of debacle is unknown. There was I think the last update on the Kickstarter page before the project was canned was like in August last year. So, it's obviously some things.
The Kickstarter page. Going to the Kickstarter page now is so depressing, especially if you watch the video, because it's all about them being like, oh, where's the Kickstarter money gone? That was for the game. And it's like, oh, you've spent it on Jaffa Cakes.
Oh, God, yeah, no, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
It's terrible. It's all about how they wasted the money. And now here we are. And they've wasted the money on like an E3 booth.
Yeah, that was dumb.
And that was only after the Kickstarter had finished.
For this game that we've raised more than enough money to create already.
Oh, so dumb.
Yeah, I think it's just inexperience and incompetence on both sides.
Definitely, that's the best way to describe it: inexperience and incompetence.
Sure. Onto somebody onto a company with a lot of experience doing what it's quite experienced at doing. Then,
okay,
which is acquiring another company,
yeah,
which is Google.
Google purchases Twitch TV for $1 billion.
Let's point out here immediately that this quote-unquote confirmation comes from an anonymous source, which, as far as I'm concerned, is not confirmation at all. Because how many times have we heard from super reliable sources, no, this is legit, and then it turns out not to be all.
See, I thought that as well, but then BBC started reporting it, and I was like, okay,
but
it's
where
BBC.
Are they getting information from?
They're anonymous sources.
They're probably from VentureBeat.com.
Maybe.
Like, that's probably the same place, right?
I don't think VentureBeat is actually the original source, but it might be. I'm not sure.
Everything I've seen links back to VentureBeat.
Oh, okay.
As far as I've seen. Because I think they said it was from their, like, unnamed sources or whatever. So I'm putting an I'm putting a pretty low faith rating in this. I mean, it's been talked about before as rumor, and it makes sense.
Let's discuss this thing as a hypothetical, even though I personally think it is true, because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's actually been on YouTube videos when someone's been streaming on Twitch, they can actually link their Twitch account into YouTube.
Yes.
And so it'll say, like, this person's streaming on Twitch right now, click here. And I think that'd be really stupid on Google's part for them to link out to some other website that's competing with them. if they weren't, profiting from it as well. So I think it's legit. But let's just discuss it as a hypothetical. What do you guys
Is
think
a
about?
hypothetical? Is Twitch worth $1 billion or?
Sure, or just like
That's
the whole
other part,
buyout
is
thing.
like $1 billion for Twitch. That's a shitload of money.
I seriously
To be
think
honest, at this point, I would kind of expect Google to do that just to show how little money means to them, as in how much they
just
have.
showboating.
I'll take a bottle of water. $200 million. Keep the change.
Because you gave him a $500 million bill.
But like, I seriously think this is how like the conversation went down. Google was like, "We want to buy you," and Twitch was like, "Yeah, whatever, maybe for $1 billion," and they were like, "Okay."
All right, well, that's legally binding, so here's the check.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly how I think it went down. Not even joking.
So let's work on the hypothetical that it did happen or is going to happen or whatever. Overall, I think it could be. I'm willing to give them a chance, but I'm very nervous about that because one, Twitch didn't have any competitors, any real competitors.
Yeah.
And they really needed some. As much as I like kind of keeping everything together, on the other hand, it's good to have competition. But to have Google own both Twitch and YouTube, which are the main non-media outlets for gaming type content, I think that's not good. Also, given Google's handling of YouTube over the years has been, to say it kindly, piss poor. So I don't see them doing well. Obviously, the big thing people are worried about is like live content ID, where if you dare have somebody else's music playing in the background while you're playing a game, then you'll get content ID hits and they'll get all the ad revenue for like the 2-hour span that movie was or that song was playing in the background or what have you.
Yeah.
But the positive side is that YouTube, they actually have in the last few months, they do seem to be trying to improve. It's not just been, let's just make changes because why not? The changes have been positive.
Please don't make us log into Google Plus for Twitch TV. Please, for the fucking love of God, don't make us do that.
They're backing off on some of that stuff too.
Good.
But not all. Like, for example, on YouTube, you click on your little user icon in the top right to go to my channel or whatever. You see the icon, oh, Sharky in the Bear, that's my channel.
I hate that.
Oh, hey, Google Plus. I see I'm on my Google Plus profile now because that's where I do all my YouTube things from and not YouTube. So they do some stupid stuff. Like that. Like Video Manager. I have to go into something else to get to Video Manager now.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was a stupid move.
I hate the Video
there's
Manager
definitely
change.
Plenty of stupidity to go around YouTube. Make no mistake. But there's been a lot of good stuff. Like the updated upload manager is actually pretty nice.
That's true.
Auto playlist thing is badass. Like that thing is sweet.
What is auto playlisting?
You can set a rule so that if a video has like certain text in it, in the title and the description or certain tags or whatever, it automatically adds it to a playlist as soon as it's public.
That sounds rad.
It's really, really nice. Like I've not actually manually added a game to a playlist for like a week or two. I mean, there's been a few playlists I haven't set up yet correctly, but it's usually like an error on my part and I go in and fix it. And now they've added it so that, like, let's say I uploaded a Let's Try and then I found out that I hadn't made a rule for that yet. If I go into my Let's Try playlist and I add a rule, YouTube goes, oh, hey, I see you've uploaded 3 recent Let's Tries. Would you like to auto add this to the playlist? It's like, hell yeah, I would. It's really nice.
Nice.
That's good, especially because when I was manually updating my playlists, it started doing them so that the most recent one would be the next one in the playlist, and then they would become less recent. So if you're doing a playlist that happens in sequence, and you're adding parts, say, 16 to 19 on it, you would get up to, like, part 15, and then it would be 19, 18, 17, 16 after that, which was just stupid. So, yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah,
you can order the playlist. Yeah, I like that. Because you can order it by, let's see, what was it? You could order it by the date you uploaded and the date you made it public, too, I think. Something like that. But they have a lot of other tools. Some of these I think have been around a while, I just wasn't aware of. For example, let's say like you uploaded a bunch of videos and you're like, oh, I want to go back and add like these 5 or 6 tags, or this description, and I don't want to have to go back and do it manually. You can go into the video manager and set it to either replace existing tags or text or whatever, or you can say, okay, append this text to all these videos, and it just goes and updates them automatically. So, like I say, they're getting there. They're definitely feel like once they hired that new lady, I forget what her name was.
They took their time.
What?
They took their time getting, decent.
Well, I know, right? I feel like I've always said I think YouTube is like the island of misfit toys, but for Google employees. So it's like they sent the people who suck, but they didn't want to fire over to YouTube. Like I've always felt that was the case because it seems like they just can't do anything right. It's just a constant screw up after screw up after screw up. But it seems like they're going in the right direction. They still need to get their crap together with this content ID nonsense. But other than that, I mean, they're making steps forward. I mean, we all bitch about YouTube, and God knows it's got reasons to, but they're making
they are improvements
lately.
Yeah. The only thing that worries me about this Google purchasing Twitch TV thing is that I was actually kind of hoping YouTube would improve its live streaming thing rather than just buying out Twitch, because that'd be cool for having competition. Google would improve their live streaming, and then Twitch would improve, and we both have a winner. That'd be us. But now it looks like, yeah.
Right. That's obviously the preferred method, but I mean, that's what Google does, or any of these big companies. If they can't get it right themselves, it's like, look, let's just buy this other company. They've obviously got this figured out.
Yeah.
And it's much faster for us to do it that way because they're experienced. And so from a business perspective, I think it makes complete sense that Google buys Twitch, because obviously streaming is getting more and more popular. In the last year or two, it's skyrocketed. The amount of viewers has skyrocketed, and it's only going to get more popular, I think. I don't think this is a fad. I don't think this is something that's just going to go away. I think it's only going to get more popular as we go on, and Google's not stupid. They see that there's a lot of money to be made there. Not right this second, maybe, but 4 or 5 years down the line, this could be a serious moneymaker for them. I don't think it's going to be bringing in billions or anything, but I think it could be a good, steady.
In the long run, it'll make that money back for sure.
Right. But I still think $1 billion is really high. I think $1 billion still, to me, sounds ridiculous. But I don't have, $20 billion just sitting around. So
well, I'm sure they'll get a bunch of money given back to them thanks to Sony and Microsoft and maybe Nintendo if they find it fun enough, all giving them a bunch of cash, because Twitch is basically all they use. They don't use like that Dream thing. I don't know what the other streaming site is called.
Ustream.
Shit, that's the one. Crap.
Who uses Ustream anyway?
Sony did last year.
You play?
Ustream.
Oh, Ustream, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Uplay is that terrible Ubisoft client, right?
Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and like I say, I'm not going to just immediately say, "Oh God," and lament the end of streaming online and whatnot, even if this turns out to be true. But I am very cautious and very worried that if we see crap like Content ID on Twitch, it could be very, very bad.
Yeah. Oh God, if they start treating YouTube as a serious place and start treating Twitch as the, what did you call it? Island of Misfit Toys?
Yeah, it's a reference to an old, I think I'm remembering it right. But yeah, it's a reference to an old, it's, hold on. Yeah, it's a reference to an old Christmas show, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like, there's one specific show. Yes, I know you know who that is, but there's like a claymation type, like Christmas time show about it that always came on during Christmas, and all the crappy toys, like the defective ones and whatnot, they all got sent off to the Island of Misfit Toys.
You mean Ghost?
Yes, exactly like Ghost.
Sure. That's what I thought.
I think I found it. If this is what... Yeah, I think I found it. It'll be in the relevant links in the description.
Okay.
Alright, so, yeah. Hopefully Twitch doesn't become the island of misfit toys.
Hope not. Their
Um,
second dumping ground for bad employees.
They've got more bad employees than they know what to do with. So they bought another company for $1 billion.
Well, we can't fire these people. We feel bad, so here you go.
we can't let Apple have them. Just put them on Twitch.
Yeah.
Alright, so next piece of news. Doom is shown off at quake-con attendees. Will be made on iDTech 6. And it's not Doom 4, it's Doom. It's a reboot.
Is it Doom 4 where one of the O's is a 4?
Oh, God.
Christ, I hope not.
That would be something.
Nah, it's a reboot. It's being made on iDTech 6, and the lead research and development guy of CryEngine, like all of them, has actually moved to iDTech or id Software to help make iDTech 6. So iDTech 6 is gonna be shit and unoptimized. Hooray! Anyone
Grand.
got any thoughts on Doom 4 and
I just don't
iDTech?
care.
Do you mean Deforum?
Anyone got any thoughts on Deform?
I just
Oh
don't
god.
care. Like, after Doom 3, I've pretty much lost any faith in anything coming out.
You do not like Doom 3. I listening to your podcast, it seems like
I didn't like it.
it's
It
the
was
only
mediocre.
consistent thing in your podcast that you bitch about Doom 3 all the time.
It was mediocre. Like, it was very mediocre. And, like, Rage was the same way. Rage was pretty fun, but it was pretty mediocre.
Yeah, but see, the biggest downside to Doom 3 is that it's a sequel to Doom, and those games are really fucking amazing. They still hold up really well despite being 20 years old. Doom 3 doesn't hold up nearly as well.
No. Even when it came out, I remember being very underwhelmed by it. And most people I talked with didn't think it was that great. It was one of those games that I feel like over time, people go back and say, oh yeah, Doom 3 was great. I'm like, what? Where were you people when this game came out? We were like, meh, this game was all right. It's really predictable. I enjoy watching other people play it. It's very fun to watch other people play. But gameplay wise, it was incredibly predictable. The flashlight thing was just atrocious. Having to switch back and forth
But
was
VT,
really stupid.
the light shafts, dynamic lighting, that makes
Those
up for all
light
the
shafts were
gameplay faults,
amazing.
right?
Yeah, the lights were great, but that was about it.
It was pretty impressive for like 2004, 2003.
Well, yeah, graphically it looked great. I mean, Rage looks graphically incredible.
Not
Well,
on
when it's
PS3.
not,
On PS3, it's
texture
complete
popping
shit.
well, on PC, by default, it has really bad texture, like really bad texture popping. But
So on the
yeah,
majority
I
of
don't know.
platforms, Rage doesn't look that great.
on PC, like I say, PC it looks good until you start turning around or moving at all.
Oh yeah,
without a mod.
It's a very fun game to turn around and see the textures loading in. It's worse than the Unreal Engine in that regard.
Texture loading simulator 2014.
Don't give the Steam Greenlight people any ideas.
Oh Jesus!
Probably already up there, right next to Water Simulator and Grass Growing Simulator. Those are real.
Oh god.
So no one really cares about Doom anymore?
Nope.
Until we see some actual gameplay from it, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, the only people I think, you know, they showed it behind closed doors and stuff, you know. So
Yeah, they showed it to QuakeCon attendees, which is, oh my god, Bethesda did the biggest troll ever. What they did was they live streamed it and they were hyping it up, and then when they got to showing off the Doom gameplay, they cut off the live stream. And then, like 4 minutes later, the crowd comes back. It comes back, and the crowd is like, "Yeah, that's awesome."
Oh my goodness.
And so everyone in the chat was just like, "What the fuck? You fucking fuck you, Bethesda!" It's amazing.
So it takes like 4 minutes to bribe a crowd of hundreds.
Yeah.
We'll bear that in mind.
They just do like an Oprah. It's like everyone gets a brand new Alienware computer.
That'd be
Okay.
good to sell for parts.
Yeah. All right. So Final Fantasy Type 0 fan translation sent cease and desist by Squeenix.
Big
God,
dick
they
move.
suck.
That
Yep.
is.
Square
Oh my
Enix
god.
is shit. Let's be honest. They suck.
Eidos is the best part of Square Enix.
I mean, Square, they have done some very terrible decisions the past couple of years. I mean, and this is, I can't believe they
Tomb Raider
actually did
2013. I'm sorry,
Wait, really?
carry on.
this.
He said Tomb Raider 2013.
That was good though, wasn't it?
It was meh.
Opinions differ.
We can discuss it when we do it for the
Anyway.
channel.
But it's like fan patch, Final Fantasy Type 0. It was a PSP game. It came out years ago. I don't know the exact date, but maybe 2012. No, maybe 2011, something like that. It came out ages ago. Never got localized. Never came out outside of Japan. So, the fans then, started making their own fan patch for it. And from my understanding, it was pretty much very well along translated, and you could easily use it using some temporary custom firmware and then just put the patch onto a certain folder on the memory stick on the PSP, and then every time you launch the game, it will translate it for you. I've got the same thing for Monster Hunter Portable Third, which is for PS3 and PSP. It never got localized. It was like the Monster Hunter game that came out in between 3 and 3 Ultimate. So it's got a lot of the content, went over to 3 Ultimate, but I imported it. I play it on PS3, so it's all in HD and stuff, but then when I want to look at the menus, I use the PSP version. And this move, is, the Square Enix has done, it's just such a dick move, really.
Didn't
'Cause, I
they
mean-
announce it was coming for PS Vita at one point?
Yeah, there was some confusion. I don't know if it was because of the PlayStation blog staff or because of Square Enix themselves when they announced it, but they announced it coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Vita. Now, this was originally a PSP game. People were expecting or hoping that they would at least give it a digital-only release on PSP. You could play it on Vita, you could play it on PSP, or even better, give us an upgraded, like HD, Vita release. Instead, they announced it only for next-gen consoles, but not the Vita, where most of the fans are going to want to play it. It's that again is just a stupid move because they announced it. And then it was like, oh, it's coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Vita. And then a couple hours later, oh no, wait, that was a mistake. It's not coming to Vita.
I'm
It's
just going to
stupid.
steal Capanius's joke here. It turns out that it was a Type O. Huh?
Type O, Type
God.
0.
Thank you,
that's so bad,
Capanius.
it's
Thanks a lot.
There we go. Vertigo wasn't as forthwith in thanking Companius for some reason.
I was thinking about it.
All right, yeah, go ahead, Mad Dragon.
Yeah. Pretty much. Do you want to add to the discussion on it? Is it?
This is
It
Square
doesn't
Enix
seem
is a
like there's any
dickhead.
two ways about it. Yeah, it's just Squeenix being
I mean,
jerks.
there's no
Squeenix.
reason for them to do it though.
No, it does seem like it's
All this
almost
hard work
deliberately
that-
being done
I know it's
as an
like,
affront to their fans. Well, the fans
and
of the
these
game.
are the most dedicated fans they got because they've gone and done all the work of translating the game themselves for other fans to enjoy for free. And it's like, this is how they treat them.
I think there's
Just
like
be-
some copyrighted material in their fan patch that is the main reason why they did it, but still, it's a bit.
But still,
Yeah.
if they were, decent, they would have just like, gone, there we go.
Turned a
have your fan
blind eye
patch,
to it.
I mean, for every good thing they do so much crap recently. I mean, it's not like years ago where they used to just put out like good games all the time. If you saw Square Enix on a game, you'd be like, oh well, that's got to be good. Nowadays, it's like Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, no. And do I even mention 13-3?
Hang on a sec. There's a Final Fantasy 13-3.
Yeah, Lightning Returns.
Lightning Returns, yeah, it's bad.
You
Isn't
only
she like
play as
fucking
Lightning.
god in that game?
Yeah.
And everyone's like
You-
500 and 1,100 years old. It's just, it's
I don't know. I'm not even buying the game.
got an
I have
aneurysm
no,
already.
no interest in it.
But yeah, like you said, for every good thing Square Enix does, like the humble Square Enix bundle, which doesn't have any Square Enix games in it, but
No,
okay.
it's all games from other developers and
It's
other
from
series
it's from
that they bought.
Eidos. It's mainly from Eidos, the humble Eidos bundle. It's got like, it doesn't even have the last remnant in it, which is like, why not that?
That is, a good, good like decent Square Enix game. That they actually. Well, I don't know if they actually made it, but it is, one of their games. Like, it's not like Thief or the Tomb Raider series or the Deus Ex
Murdered
series,
Soul Suspect.
Hey, when you
Just
get to the
Cause.
$15 bracket, then Deus Ex release, it's also IDOS, but hey, they bought the series.
They included the first Deus Ex game in the $15 bracket, if I remember correctly from looking at it.
Yes, the first Deus Ex Game of the Year edition is there. Kane and Lynch 2 is in the
why would they put
bracket.
that in the $15 bracket?
Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light and Just Cause 2.
So you're paying more when you're getting cheaper games.
It kind of seems to, like the middle bracket with Hitman Absolution and Deus Ex The Fall seems probably more inviting, given the fact that pretty much everyone has Human Revolution and Just Cause 2 anyway.
Or just Hitman Absolution, because Deus Ex The Fall is crap, and Deus Ex Invisible War is also crap.
Oh, is Deus Ex The Fall crap? Okay.
Deus Ex The Fall.
Okay.
It's an iPad game. It doesn't play well at all.
No, I mean Invisible War.
Nah.
Really? Yeah, I think you're the only person. I mean, I haven't played it, so keep that in mind.
Well, from what I played of it, I mean, I remember playing it on Xbox original, and then I've played a bit of it on the PC. But it's like I've enjoyed what I played.
Okay, well, at some point I'd like to try it myself, but yeah, pretty much I'd always just heard negative about it. But then again, I heard mostly negative about Fable too, and I thought it was an actually good game. So there you go.
Levels are too small.
Yeah.
Wait, Fable or something else?
Invisible War.
Oh, okay. Because you could argue that about Fable, I guess.
Yeah, the levels are fine in Fable, I found, but okay.
Yeah.
We'll just have to agree to disagree, I suppose. Do you want to get... Let's go Fable. 1v1, bro. Let's go. No scopes only.
Fable. Let's do this.
No scopes only. Only bolt action. Don't be a Barrett 50. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Okay.
You technically spelled it, but...
I didn't even want to say it, so I spelled it, but even then I felt like that just made it worse.
You still feel a little dirty.
I do actually. I need to go take a shower. I'll be right back, guys. Put the podcast on hold.
Tell you later.
Alright, so let's just keep going without Raven. The Legend of Korra.
Gameplay shown at Comic-Con.
I'm glad I watched the video so that I knew it had to do with Avatar.
Yeah, I did not know that either. Like, I'm totally interested in this because I like Platinum. Specifically, I really like Bayonetta. But, and this looks interesting. And obviously, this is early on and whatnot. But the combat seemed incredibly simplistic. Like, I saw, the switching between, the different elements, fire and water. And, it just seemed like it was very, meh. Now, I trust Platinum to, okay, maybe this is the easy stuff. But then once you go on the harder difficulties, you can unlock and do these crazy combos and whatnot. So, we'll see. I think I don't like the graphical style, but then again, I don't.
It's a $15 game, so not that much to be expected.
Wait,
yeah, it's a $15 digital only release.
Oh, well then.
I thought it would have been a full
expectations lowered.
Yeah. Mad Dragon said he thought it'd be a retail release.
I thought it would have been a full.
That's the sort of thing that you'd like on a shelf, Mad Dragon? Yeah.
I know.
And
on
also
the Mad Dragon shelf.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I don't play my games. What do you take me for? Just sit on the shelf.
What kind of
barbarian
on a shelf,
you think I am? And vacuum sealed. Yeah. Never taken outside its original packaging.
Of course. I have actually done that before. I've owned games and not even played
games?
Yeah.
Deliberately, so as not to devalue them for their collectible value? Or
no, I just haven't opened them. I got some PC games in. I got some PC games still sealed in my drawer, not even touched.
Oh, that's okay.
Sure.
It's like...
List them. What ones? Maybe they're worth some money.
List them. God, Raven, stop with the lists already.
Sorry.
Are you sure you want your games on a shelf, Mad Dragon, where you could just have them on Steam where they're neatly listed for you?
Hey, I have a shelf too,
Advertised.
There's a shelf of lists. That's where he puts all of his written lists. Is on
I
the
do have
list
a lot
shelf.
of lists actually. It's kind of gotten out of order.
Hmm.
I need to make a list of my lists.
Anyway, we're listing off topic. What about Legend of Korra?
Legend of Korra, I actually think it looks really good. I know you guys are like, it looks shit, but
I said
That's
it
word
has
for
something
word
to
what
do
I
with
said.
Avatar, doesn't it? 0 out of 10.
No, but I actually think it looks really interesting because of the you got quick swapping for each of the avatar states on the fly. So like, you've got water and fire on L1 and air and earth on R1, and so you can just swap between those on the fly, and you can do different sort of attacks. And I think that'd be
combine them?
pretty cool. Yeah. You can combine them. I believe it's like square triangle is.
No,
Sorry, what?
you're saying that you got the different like styles on like one bumper, one like a shoulder button, one on the other. As long as that doesn't turn out to be like any way similar to the DMC reboots, I mean, if it's anything like
Don't
that,
be hating.
where you had like the light and the the
I
dark
think.
angel and the devil weapons.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah.
And you had to
Yeah.
use specific ones.
I
for specific
I
enemies.
kind of
If
do hope
it's-
they don't make it so that certain
Yeah.
enemies are only weak to like the water attacks or fire attacks.
I kinda
Hopefully
got
they
the
don't do
impression
that.
they were gonna do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got that
it's
as
like a
well,
game
actually,
based
but
on
I hope they
elements.
don't.
It seems pretty likely that that's
Well,
gonna.
because near the
yeah.
end there was enemies that had like 3 different colors. So I presumed that it was going to be they either take more damage from like their counter elements, or like could maybe only be damaged by those elements. I don't know.
Use the
Hopefully they
trifles.
don't. But yeah, I like the movements and all that. It looks very fast paced, and it's platinum, so I do have some faith. Although I kind of am afraid that it won't be that good, since it's the guy who did Mad World and Anarchy Reigns, probably my least favorite of the Platinum Games games.
Oh, you'll be hating.
What? I like Platinum Games. They're one of my most. I own like 80% of the
You're
games.
saying that Platinum's games look like shit.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm glad you could understand me. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, so that's I am looking forward to it because it'll be getting a release on PC for $15, most likely Steam, since it's Activision and Activision loves Steam. So I will be picking that up most likely day one. $15. What's the worst that it could be? You know?
Slowly lowering your expectations.
Bad Rats?
Bad Rats wasn't $15, I thought.
No, I mean it could be Bad Rats bad.
No way. It would be impressive if
I think at this point you'd have to
Bad
go out
Rats.
of your way to achieve that.
Yeah, you not only do you have to have bad gameplay, you also have to be offensive to a major population of the Earth. So,
I recently completed Ride to Hell Retribution, which is I guess
oh
another
my
game
god, no!
that we've been
Why
playing.
did you do this?
It was Danny's idea. This time it was his. For some
Did you get
reason,
good
we
at
play
breaking?
through a game. We do our joint. Yet, funnily enough, the game never. Oh, maybe no. I don't think it crashed. I don't think the game ever crashed. I mean, oh god, there's bugs, so many.
Yep.
And even the stuff that works doesn't look like that's what was meant to happen. But
And the voice acting is terrible.
oh, atrocious, yeah.
And the writing
Yeah,
makes no
don't worry.
sense.
Nothing about it makes any sense or is good in any way. Just to clarify, yeah. But I mean, that's kind of a habit that Danny and I have, is we get through playing like a really shitty game together, and we're like, oh god, we hate this. What's next? And then we're like, oh, I know. What about Dead Space 3? Sure, that'll be a good idea. And then 43 parts of that later is like, we'll have a break with FTL and Sanctum 2 DLC, and then okay, so we need a longer series. What should we do? How about Ride to Hell Retribution? That should be funny. And so yeah, that's not a good game. But I can't say whether it was better or worse than Bad Rats, because like different genres. No, I couldn't quite think which one was worse, although I haven't played Bad Rats.
I've completed Bad Rats, and I've watched your Let's Play, or bits of your Let's Play of Ride to Hell Retribution, because I tried to watch a lot of it, but then I just started violently vomiting.
That's fine. That happens a lot. To be fair, it is a nice sort of series in the sense that like we just drink and eat during it, and like oh, that's it's not a particularly straight-laced, technically speaking, Let's Play. So
it's not as professional as the Torchlight 2 Let's Play.
Oh yeah, not nearly as professional as that. Yeah. So they had that going for it.
Yeah, I've
you could really
watched.
switch off your brain while playing it.
Yeah, so I've watched it, and I think Right to Hell Retribution is worse.
Possibly, it is because it is more offensive than Bad Rats.
Or to maybe compare it more, like to have a better like comparison. I feel like compare Bad Rats to its other games in its genre and how bad it is in comparison versus Right to Hell Retribution in comparison
it's
to
the
like
worst biker game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, also the best.
If I remember correctly, it has the lowest Metacritic score out of any game on Steam.
Does that include Infestation Survival Stories?
I think so.
Oh, man.
You'll have to do a quick check. I could check if
Although
you
I
like.
guess Infestation's probably had some like retroactive upgrading.
Oh, actually, I think they removed their Metascore. I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
Like of any game that actually has a Metascore.
Oh. Well, that technically is kind of cheapens it, but okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look at Right to Hell Retribution's Metacritic score. The PC version has a 16. The 360 has a 19.
Whoa.
The PS3 has a 13.
About 20 for Infestation Survival Stories or Survivor Stories.
Okay. So, yeah, even if we go off PC, which is the only real version you can go for here.
Right.
Yeah, 16, which is possibly the worst ever. Somebody's user review
On Bad Rats.
To be fair, the 10 on this is ironic. But this is by far one of the best games I have ever played. The graphics are beyond amazing. The physics engine is by far one of the best engines I have ever seen. The racing element is the best thing since Big Rigs over-the-road racing. So, yeah.
Did you go to Bad Rats Metacritic?
I did not.
It's got an 8.3 user score.
How? No. What? There was one user? I guess.
There's multiple users doing it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, because it's... Yeah. Yeah, and this... Well, user score means jack shit on Metacritic.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that nobody did a normal review, like an established critic.
Well, they were going to do it, then they started just, wanting to rip their eyeballs out, and then they were like, no, I should just stop playing.
Yeah. Bad Rats is better. The fact that there's... Yeah, okay.
I think Bad Rats is a pretty good game to go out on.
Yeah. So thank you to the audience for listening, and everyone, shout out to any projects you're working on or want people to know about. Now would be the time to list them or say them, not list them.
So you're telling me you don't have a pen and paper at the ready there?
I have a notepad file open.
Okay. And then you're gonna print it and put it on the shelf? Or...
No, maybe. Just list. Say your stuff.
Shit, what am I doing at the moment? I mean, this has kind of been like because I haven't been around as much lately, so it's been a case of just using the backlog. I got a couple of reviews coming up. I'm gonna do So Many Me. I got a code for that, so I'm gonna be looking at that one in upcoming weeks, and then finally a game I backed on Kickstarter, which is another successful example of a Kickstarter, probably, is Unrest, which I've literally just installed and will probably get stuck into in the near future.
Real quickly, I don't mean to go too far off topic, but another Kickstarter game that is successful that you mentioned earlier is FTL, Faster Than Light.
Oh, I didn't. I always forget that. I know that's that's surprising.
Yep.
I did not know that was a Kickstarter game.
So any links to something that you've already done? Because this is going up like tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Fuck it. The Ride to Hell Retribution series.
All right, Ride to Hell Retribution.
A must see.
All right, Mad Dragon, Vertigo. Anything you want to shout out?
Probably again just the Dark Souls 2 Let's Play. I mean, it's the only thing I'm actively doing at the moment. Probably just that, or just anything on my channel in general.
All right, Vertigo.
And the only thing I've got going, nothing special right now. Just my Watchdog and Dark Souls 2 LPs. That's about it.
All right. I don't have anything special to shout out, but I would. Hold on. I've got something, you guys. I want to shout out.
Ghost? Is it the film Ghost? Can I change mine to that?
You can, yes. You can have two if you'd like. Would you like to have Ghost as well as Ride to Hell Retribution?
The pottery scene from Ghost as a precursor to my Thief series, so that you can get an understanding for stealth before watching a playthrough of a stealth game.
All right.
Think of it as recommended reading.
All right. Okay, so Ghost and pottery scene. I would like to shout out the Steam store page for Ride to Hell Retribution. That's my shout out. That's a project that I think that needs some recognition. Don't you guys agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that ends this podcast. So thank you everyone for listening. I do hope you enjoyed it, and be sure to praise the Liam. Goodbye.
Praise the Liam.
Praise Liam.
Praise Liam.